the Market Development Corporation. On our agenda for everyone, we have a guest here today.
I think that's Michelle, probably. Good morning. I'm sorry, Dave.
That's fine.
Good morning.
Good morning, this is Michelle calling into the meeting.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good
How
morning,
are you?
Michelle.
Doing wonderful, thank you.
Well, we're much here, so your timing is excellent.
Perfect. We have a gentleman here from the Carpenters Union, just visiting today. Is it Francis Tom? And I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Irizo? Well, thank you. We have two new board members today. And Rob Alias. Welcome, gentlemen.
Smile. You're on camera.
Anything you want to add or say to or
Yeah, hi, everyone. I know most of the people in the room. A lesson about running my mouth. So I'm happy to come in and learn. So
Never volunteer, don't you know?
So yeah, no, I appreciate your willingness to for me all the ins and outs of local development. So
Good to have you.
And serve. Thank you.
we'll put those. Does anyone want to? Everyone received meetings? Actually, it was our January 7th meeting, because our February meeting was canceled due to lack of quorum. Is there any additions and or corrections? I'd entertain a motion to favor, aye?
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Michelle, you want to run us through, or have you had time to look at it?
Sure, be glad to. I'm going to skip right forward to February, because everything's more up to date than going through the January figures that we had. That's on page 17 in this packet. You can see that we're 5 months. This is 5 months into the fiscal year, and we're in pretty good shape as far as our revenues. Most of it comes in pretty regularly anyway from their administrative fees, and then the money we get from the county comes in, hold it deferred revenue and take it into our income each month. So we're pretty regular on that and pretty much on schedule. Our expenses are looking pretty good at this point. Nothing out of line there. And I'm looking at year-to-date expenses at 420 versus budget of a little over $1 million. And with our revenue of $502,000, we're showing a year-to-date revenues over expenses of $81,576. The breakout of our rev expenses for the ag program at Wild Prices shows that we're pretty much under budget as far as expenditures there are concerned, and I'm sure they'll be catching up every year into the season of ag. Similar for the marketing expense, marketing program, we spent 135 year to date versus 347, so we're a little bit up. But again, things that we'll be spending going through. The next is our manufacturing program, primarily a safety training. It's the biggest expense there. And, still 7 or 10 come up yet. The next is the balance sheet for the LDC, and you can see we're pretty good cash position here. We do have 2.2 million in our savings account, and then we have 650 in the revolving loan fund savings. Our loans receivable are a little over 1.5 million. And the property equipment, the distillery equipment that we have, and plus the fixtures, and that distillery, that's because of the grant that we had. We take control of the assets, the end of liabilities. Biggest things are deferred income for the marketing and ag program. We've got the money from the county and take it into earnings throughout the year. So our capital fund is $4,565,000 at this point. You can see our receivables, those are basically our loan that we have from the revolving loan funds. I reviewed the cash receipts and disbursements, and I didn't see anything out of line in any of those as I've gone through them. And what else we got here? And that's it, the treasurer's report. Does anybody have questions?
I do. This is Rob Oliasso. The balance sheets do look great. These are about 20% better than budget, and the expenses are lower. Good. Is that sustainable through? Are there things that are going to come up in the ag program, and the advertising will probably catch up, so that'll kind of increase the expenditures. But are the revenues expected to also stay up straight line through the end of the year?
They probably will, because most of the revenues, we take the money for the ag and marketing program in, monthly. We have the money, but we take it in as it's allocated throughout through the year. And the biggest income on this side is our administrative fees, which is paid by the a regular fee each month. That's paid. The salaries and so on go to the LDC.
Okay, very good. So based on what we know today, this program will probably do better than budget.
Probably do a little bit in budget, but that's primarily because the expenses might be coming in a little bit below budget in some areas.
Thank you.
Some could come in a little higher. Allows pretty conservative when you do each year.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Can I interrupt, Mr. Chair, to introduce Duval? Jeremiah Maxim is our new board member, which is at Carthage Area Hospital. This is Rob Oliasso, another new board member. And Rich serves on the LDC board. But we make these, just for your information, board members of the whole, so that the LDC, the IDA, and the FDC board members, which you are all a part, sit in on all of the meetings, so that when we have a cross-purpose project where we use resources on one and resources of the other, there's a coordination of activities. So you'll see that a lot as we go forward. Welcome, young man.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes. Any reports, unfinished business for the LDC?
No.
Council, anything?
I have nothing.
Go to like this. New business. Page 20, we have a resolution. Dan, you want to talk to us about this?
Why, sure. Let me just get to the resolution here. We've talked about this in board once, very informal, and this, I think, is a reaction of the information we're getting from the people that we typically do business with, and these would be our employers in the community. Most of those we have spoken to, in fact, I can't identify anybody that we've spoken to who has not seen difficult times ahead if $15 an hour wage is allowed to take root. I think most of, and these are my impressions, so forgive me, they're, I want to let you know this is skewed by some of my personal beliefs after the conversations. But basically, most of the employers, the increase in the minimum wage is probably going to happen, is probably due, and so on. What they are concerned about is the level of increase, because what this typically does, and you'll see in the resolution here, we pulled together some information, it once again makes New York State less competitive when one is looking across the states in the Northeast, but actually throughout the United States, and frankly, the labor force around the world. We're in a highly competitive business, and the more that we do things the way, we understand there's a moral imperative here to try to make sure that people have a living wage. My personal belief is minimum wages were never designed to be that kind of moral imperative. They were to give employers, and this is the way we're hearing this, gives employers an opportunity to bring young people on and get them to travel in the workforce, to build a resume, to learn the work ethics, to get themselves started on a path as a career. But was never really designed to provide a living wage for a husband, wife, and a family of 3 kids. I mean, it's not that kind of thing. So there is obviously 2 very important sides to this question. One is this business about making sure that we're paying our people adequately for the work they do. The other is, if this goes into effect, our employers are telling us that the number of jobs available will lessen because they can't afford the level of staff costs if this wage goes up. They're going to have to somehow counteract that, and the way they will do that is reduce the number of jobs, particularly entry-level jobs, that we have available in the community. So for us, and from an economic point of view, it is not boding. Most of the organizations who represent employers in some form or fashion, whether it's Chamber or New York State EDC or others, have already expressed opposition to this. I would tell you that the governor is very very interested in pursuing this activity, and so this would, if this resolution were passed, it would certainly fly in the face of what the executive in the state is looking to accomplish. Probably the most telling comments I've heard about this is that the $15 an hour minimum wage may play well in New York City, given the fact that you can't rent an apartment down there for less than $10 million a week. But in northern New York State, it is a far different economy. This is not New York City, it's far different. And so there are a number of proposals on the table. One would be a regional approach, what the actual minimum wage would be. Another would be, it would be a downstate versus upstate wage. There are all kinds of choices, but anyway, most of the folks that we speak with in upstate New York are opposed to this. Most of the employers fear that it will cause them to simply have to reduce their number of employees. So that's the background on it.
Jefferson County Local Development Corporation Resolution Number 0303-1601. It's a resolution opposing raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour. I'd entertain a motion and a second for further discussion.
I'll move that.
Second it.
Discussion.
I would just make that one of our defensive points. The regional disadvantage this puts us at when you look at Vermont. I mean, that's the labor pool that all the alternative. Proximity to the Canadian border. Now, is the governor's proposal was to hit the 50, is that right?
Yeah.
Vermont to,
I think California is the only state that has moved to the $15 proposal so far.
yeah,
They also have a higher cost of living as well.
yeah.
Another tact to also include within the prevailing wage the minimum wage. Yeah, that actually, when you look at the prevailing wage of 15, you might be able to get to 11.5 plus $3 or $4 of benefits.
Attention in this is because it's all over the lot in terms of what the benefits are in one company versus another. Some, even minimum wage people get a fairly good employee benefit package along with it. Also playing in this, of course, is healthcare and where we're going with that.
What people aren't realizing is, speaking from an employer, as soon as you start raising that, people that are making $15 and $17 now, they think that they're going to want to sit there. They're not. I've got to bump them percentage up. And then when you start adding the workers' comp percentage in New York State, which is way out of range with the rest of the country, it becomes mind-boggling.
I mean, the employee burdens at least 50% of
Yes,
salary.
that's
At
right.
least, and it could be higher depending upon workers' comp insurance that your corporation may have. But I mean, you start taking into account the burdens that corporations are already putting on. And again, I'm not against employment. I'm not against the living wage, but there are other aspects of trying to keep a competitive workplace within the state and within the county.
Some of these proposed laws have what I would characterize as unintended consequence. This is a great political position to take, but how does this impact Rich and his business, for example? You are reimbursed on Medicaid, Medicare, that kind of stuff. Those costs are going to be affected by this to a great extent. I don't know how it would impact your workforce in the hospital, but I suspect significantly.
It's about a $550,000 a year increase. We've already calculated it. And that's just year one. And that doesn't include, as Dave brought up, the unions are going to be right back at the door saying, well, geez, now a nurse gets paid X and the minimum wage is X, so we need to get bumped up. So, I mean, there's going to be a huge impact on healthcare. Haney's, the Health Association for New York State, actually put together a pretty good white paper, if you will, that they sent opposing it, because almost every hospital in the state is either at a 1% margin. Medicaid rates or anything along. So it's just going to strain it even more. What we hear from our unions, kind of the bigger goal behind it, that the unspoken goal, and again, this is just hearsay, is the fact that if he's going to, that are now medicated to not being medicated, assistant, so positive impact to that sense, but to the
Balancing the state's budget. That's basically what you just said. Private corporations will balance our state's budget.
You're absolutely right.
Literally what I heard.
Don't disagree. And, you know, the impact is just gonna be huge. Looked at scenarios, if that occurs, what does that mean for the hospital? You know, and ultimately, I think for any industry, it's gonna end up meaning a decrease in workforce. There's just no way around it.
For the new guys on the block here, typically the agency, a political, not really our call. So we don't, the IDA can't lobby in that sense, but staff felt, based on the we were getting concerns, including some of our major companies, we felt this was a very unique situation. We so impactful that we are alternative or just not. Some of the companies have asked me to the concerns they have, go ahead and tell them. Certainly, us taking a stand will not be as impactful as if these companies themselves were to take a stand. Some of them are reluctant because they're concerned about a political, so there you go. That's kind of laying it out for you.
Is there, talked about, do you think you've covered it under unintended consequences? Whereas, I mean, some of these, it's like, concern, you know, should we include some other unintended consequences? We're passing this resolution, or do you think?
We could, Ed. If we started listing all the unintended consequences of the resolution, it would be in a resolution.
We get a resolution.
Well, this makes a basic thrust. You know, we're just trying. We don't have a constitution. We're just trying to make a point.
Exactly.
I
Okay.
like to keep it as simple as possible.
On the resolution, any other? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? See.
No, I would just add that there are of projects. You've heard me say a couple, 3 or 4 months ago that I was afraid the pipeline was becoming less full throughout the year, but I'm now hopeful if things change in some major way, we will see some fairly comprehensive project coming in the near future. We're working with another developer in town we're working with right now, as a matter of fact. So we're hoping that we're going to see some economic activity. Flying in the face of that is a couple of issues. The Canadian dollar and what impact it has had. And, some of the other things which make the ground ahead look a little like a minefield on one side and clear pasture on the other. And I'm not sure where it is all going. We continue to pursue things like the meat processing plant, some other projects which we've been talking about in the past. And I'm hopeful that some of these will come to fruition and represent. We're praying for that.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
I'll make a second.